Welcome to the Hawley Area Community Show. I'm your host Jody, and I'm here once again at the Hawley Library with our esteemed local librarian, Joy Becker. And we're here for actually a couple reasons. The first reason is that it's fall, and it's not summer anymore, as we all know. And so you had a lot of summer activities, but now as we move into fall, you have some new fall activities, correct?
Yep. We're going to continue our Armchair Traveler program. The next one we have coming up is on October 18th at 6:30, where Kirsty Fleming is going to come in and talk about her trip this past summer, where she went to Sinai and Petra in Egypt.
Oh,
she went to a lot of ancient sites.
Oh, interesting. And what are some of the places that you went on those armchair travels?
Oh, my goodness. Well, we went to Machu Picchu with you. We went to Pakistan with Audrey Gerhardsen. We've gone to Australia with Pat Sparrow.
You've been all over the globe.
We have. There's only a few continents we haven't really touched on. So.
And how long do you want to continue this program? Until we've run out of places, or?
It's more of a volunteers willing to come in and tell about their travelers. So if there's someone out there willing to come in and share stories of their travels, we'd love to have them.
And I could say it was really fun to do. It causes you to organize your pictures, organize your thoughts about the trip, and it was a really fun thing to do.
Yeah.
So
it's so fun to hear where people have gone and where they want to go. And you get a lot of folks that come in and say, I've always wanted to go, but I never really, probably not going to make it, but it's so fun to hear about it from someone who has been there.
Sure, yes. So what else do you have going on?
We've got our book discussion group that we just met last evening, and we'll meet again November 8th at 6:30. We're going to talk about Pearl Buck's The Good Earth.
Oh,
yes. And our sub, Dina, is going to be leading that discussion, and she is an avid Pearl Buck fan. She just loves her literature, so she's very excited to lead the discussion for that. So do request a copy of that and join us. That'll be really fun.
Okay.
We have our preschool story time every Friday at 10:30, and then Teen Read Week is coming up soon. So this year what they're going to be doing is a art contest, so asking teens to submit a piece of artwork to create into a bookmark.
And there's so many talented kids in the art department in Hawley.
Yes,
when I went to the art show, I ended up buying a student's work because they're just so talented.
They are. There's entry forms online. They can be entered into up to October 22nd, and the winners will be chosen on the 1st of November, and then they'll make them into bookmarks and distribute them across the Lake Agassiz region.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. But the most exciting event coming up is the Lake Agassiz 50th anniversary event.
Whoa, okay. Yes. 50 years old,
50
huh?
years.
It's older than me.
And we're delighted Eric Bergeson is going to come back and share stories about his love of the library, along with an open house on October 27th at 4 o'clock.
Okay, which is
a Thursday.
It's a Thursday, October 27th, and he's always a favorite.
He is so fun to listen to. I think he's going to be bringing music, and so he's going to come, and we're going to have refreshments, so I hope everyone can join us. It'll be fun.
Super. Well, 50 years, there's got to be something to talk about there, so let's cut to break and then talk a little bit more about maybe the history of the Hawley Library and the history of Lake Agassiz and how the two merged, maybe. We'll be right back. And we're back with Joy Becker at the Hawley Public Library, and I was sort of surprised to hear that Lake Agassiz Regional Library was 50 years old, because I was under the understanding that the Hawley Library itself was older. Is that correct?
It
is. Okay.
Yep. The Hawley Library was started in 1950. There was a charter by the Minnesota State Legislature that created funding for libraries, as far as my understanding goes. And some people in town were really excited about that, so they got together. And a Miss Runquist, if anyone knows who that is, please do tell me.
Miss Runquist, I'm not familiar, but
she was apparently behind it. She really put the push to, and they found some space in the community building, in what is now the kitchen of the community building.
Okay.
And then it was a lounge for the veterans.
Okay, so it was like a multi-purpose room in there.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly the ideal situation for them, but there was a George Cameron that built them some bookcases, and he was able to put plywood over the front so that when the library wasn't officially open, they couldn't mess with the books, I suppose.
And I do remember that space in the early 70s too, and it was very small and not like this.
Cramped by then, I'm sure.
Very cramped, yes, because there was books galore.
Yes,
during
they were
that time.
adding, and every time they needed a new bookcase, it was my understanding that Mr. Cameron would build them another one.
Okay. And that was, who was in charge of it? Was there a particular, because I know Verna Weefald was involved when I went there.
She was actually there almost from the beginning. In the very beginning, it was run by study club volunteers for the first year or so, and then Miss Weefeld was hired as a librarian for, I believe, 6 hours a week when it started.
Okay.
And their circulation was around 100 books a month at that time. And by the time 1975 rolled around, she had been hired to work 25 hours a week, and on a good day, they were taking 100 books out a day.
Oh my goodness.
So,
that's really neat.
Betty Herring was doing story time.
Betty Herring, of course.
Yep.
Yes, she was. And how many years was she with the library? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know exactly.
Many years.
Many.
I wish she were here to tell us. I just saw her the other day. But yeah, she did a beautiful job as well.
She did.
So she took over after Verna Weefeld.
After Verna retired, I believe. And at that time, 1975 is when they built this building and moved over here.
75 is when they built. Oh, and I remember that too. That was very exciting.
Yep. And I believe Betty worked until the early 90s?
Yeah.
Does that sound about right?
Probably,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
Wow, and so you really didn't have a remodel in this building until recently,
Just
correct?
last year.
Just last year.
Yep.
So, yeah, I remember the books being carried over, and it
Yep.
was a real big deal for the community.
Yeah.
How about, do you have any knowledge about when we merged with Lake Agassiz?
We were part of the original group that joined Lake Agassiz when it merged all together on June 1st of 1961.
Okay, I see.
Eventually, Breckenridge and Detroit Lakes and some other places in Becker County joined into the group. It was one of the first. It was actually the second library system created in Minnesota and the first in a rural area.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Norman County, of course, joined as well. The Ada Library is part of the Lake Agassiz region also.
Wow, so it's a really good system that we are connected with.
Yep.
And you have some books here?
Yeah, we have some really delightful books. There's one on Minnesota libraries that has some pictures of all different kinds of libraries in Minnesota, and there's a couple of the Lake Agassiz libraries in there. There's also a book, well, it's one of my favorites, is the Carnegie Libraries of Minnesota. There's pictures of every Carnegie library in Minnesota, and a couple of those are in our system.
Have you ever been to those libraries in
some of
person?
them, yes,
Really?
some of them. And there's all kinds of information that talks about how much it costs to build those libraries and who the architects were, where they are, maybe what they're used for now if they're not still a library building.
Oh.
And oftentimes there's a little quote from the city writing to the Carnegie Foundation asking for the funds. It kind of talks about why it would be a good place for a library. It's kind of a neat book.
Oh, that is. So that's this book right
this
here?
one here. Mhm.
And you have these obviously here at the
They're
library.
here in the library. Yep.
Wow, that's very interesting. Libraries are neat places, especially now with this changing world and everything's done online. And
yes.
it's like it's just nice to come to a place with all these beautiful books.
Yep.
And
I do want to mention it was kind of interesting looking back at Verna's numbers. Obviously, we can check out books online now, so those don't count quite the same as the books here in the library do. But we're open 32 hours here in Hawley, and on average, we check out about 3,000 items per month.
oh my goodness. Oh, I had no idea. Thank you so much. This is very educational. And we'll be back probably when snow flies. So until next time.